Mic check. Mic check. Thank you, Atlam, for confirming. Welcome back. Uh-oh. Thank you. Well, I do my best. How you doing today, Atlam? I do have hair now. It grew, garbage man. Magically. It's this magic called Halloween. You love Bob Ross ideas for D&D? Right? It is going to be random. I mean, we're just painting pretty little mapster pieces. So the graphics card arrives today, and then it'll be finished. We'll find out for sure. I've been limping along with the old PC still. Bob Ross was great. He was great. He was a visionary. Iconic. Basically the first streamer, if you think about it. Like, I mean, obviously he wasn't streaming, but the content is like essentially that. Hello, Sack. Me too, I miss having hair. Though when I wear a wig, I often don't miss it. I'm gonna restart my chat bot because it crashed on launch of the stream. Give me one moment. How you doing, Shim? So how is the feed coming through on all the various platforms? We're live on a multi-stream right now on 6 different platforms, I believe. Twitch, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and of course, Steam. Yeah, the first ASMR streamer, really. Or like the creative art streamer channel. So welcome back to Mapmaker Monday, everyone. Today's stream is a live map making build where we focus on building a map in real time for you to watch, follow along, learn, and ask questions in real time. Remember, each of our streams are hosted AMA format, which means ask me anything. So if you have any Dungeon Alchemist related questions, you can ask them, and I will do my best to provide you real-time assistance during the stream. Whether you're new to Dungeon Alchemist, have questions of how to accomplish something, or you're a veteran and just are struggling with an advanced concept. That's what today's stream is all about. But also at the same time, building this lovely thematic build for the holiday. Myself and a good friend in our community and a lovely contributor to our community, prolific contributor to our community, I should say, Sack, who has made hundreds of thousands of maps and just as many, if not more, assets to share on the Steam Workshop, collaborated with me on this amazing build for this splendiferous holiday. So this map is actually a remaster of a previous build we collaborated on. If you're not familiar, it's based on the movie Hocus Pocus. Hocus Pocus is a Disney film about three witches who are trying to preserve their youth and live forever. In the film, they live in a cottage deep in a dark wood. And I'm going to be honest with you, we tried really close. We tried to recreate that feel the best we could. And I think we did a good job. One moment. Okay. This is a reference shot of the cottage from the exterior. This is the cottage. I think we did a pretty good job, considering it's made entirely in Dungeon Alchemist. Honestly, I think it's pretty much done. We're going to go through and do some fine touches, or like finishing touches, I should say, to this map and make sure it's ready to go. Not mean to turn off the light or open the door. Darn it. Close the door, add the roof. More purple smoke? I think it looks pretty good. Let's take a quick tour inside, shall we? So, as you walk in... How you doing, Ron Amok? Welcome back. You can see that it is a lovely cottage. And it's actually really close representation to the actual movie. I've watched both movies extensively, and I feel like we got a pretty close representation that's a good mashup between the old and the new. Because remember, it is like a museum in the newer movies, or like a mystery shack in the second movie, basically, but in the first movie it's like a museum. And in the beginning of the movie it's their home. So it's like spread over several generations of time, and there's changes that have happened to that home. So we did our best to try and represent that with the images and video clips that were available. Also using some blueprints and stuff of the original map, of the original set design. So if you look inside here, oh, we got Binks hanging out there. We've got each of the three sisters hanging out. Winifred, Sarah, and Mary. Of course, the chair, ready to go for their next victim. The black flame candle. And we also have... Runamok, I'm sorry, man. Health issues, financial issues almost seemed almost eternally intertwined. And I know all too well what that's like. Trust me. It sucks, and I'm sorry you're going through that, my man. Do y'all think we did a pretty good job designing the the cottage overall, though. We kind of improvised on the second floor because there's not a whole lot of reference material. I actually have something to go with this, an improvement to the herb rack. Let's take a look at that. I asked the Mrs. Mac, the lovely Mrs. Mac, if she could assist us. And she's a pretty handy artist. Stand by. So I asked her to make an abstract for us. Put it right. I'll put it out here for now. We'll upload lay image. Some hanging plants. I love these, but darn it. What do you think? I think that turned out rather well. Just some lovely little herbs hanging on the side there over the hearth. I think that's a nice addition. Our improvised herbs were great, but I kind of wanted something that looked a little bit. And to be honest, that's really only for people who will check this map out in first person or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's still amazing. Zach also put a significant amount of work into the exterior of this map. We've got an amazing kind of tiered graveyard that's just kind of haphazardly, you know, graves fit wherever they could find them. I'm assuming this was just an open clearing where it was easy to dig the graves. But I love the little mausoleums around the end. And then, of course, we have Billy Bones' grave ready to go when he's raised to serve the Sanderson sisters' bidding. Hazak, that's a good question. You know, it is possible to get some of those shapes, but it's a little tricky, and you got to start with the right size square first before you do it. Offhand, I don't recall exactly how to do it, but what I would recommend doing, Hazak, are you a member of our Discord by chance? You know, I hope the Bob Ross outfit is a nice you know, a hit today. I was really just trying to have fun with it. Making some happy little masterpieces. And some happy little trees. There's several guides on shapes and how to get certain shape buildings with relative ease in our Discord tips and tricks, as well as you could spin up a question, a thread in the question forum and get answers as well. Offhand, though, I do not recall exactly how to do it, but I know there's a way to get a hexagonal shape. I've seen it. I've even done it myself, but I'm trying to recall, and it's like, let's see. Or was it a octagon I would get? I can't remember if it's hexagon to get, if it's possible to get a hexagon. Maybe it was an octagon. Shoot, I know there's all sorts of shapes you can get, but hop into the Discord and we could definitely cover it end to end. Yeah, you know, we got the Halloween holiday here in a couple of days, so I figured why not have some fun with it this month. I dressed up as Bob Ross a few times this month, as well as a dungeon alchemist a few times. That kind of just really ring in the holiday. I know a lot of people enjoy dressing up for Halloween. So over here in this area, we have what is the sacred space, which in the second movie, Hocus Pocus 2, it's kind of like a little clearing where the witches, where the Sanderson sisters are kind of gifted their powers by an elder witch. And then later on, it's where they're summoned back by some young teens who were tricked into lighting a black flame candle. The black flame candle, big part of the mythos of Hocus Pocus. They put a spell that if a black flame candle can be created and lit on Halloween by a virgin, that means they will come back to life. These tokens, I made them ages ago on Hero Forge. They're actually a permanent fixture of the map because we were able to convert them to 3D files. Second floor, we've got a bath, each of their beds. So Sarah and Mary. Winifred kind of has a little private space off to the side. You can definitely rotate the room after you put the floor plan down. However, there is a way to shape it to get pretty much what you're after. Added a little towel hanging over the divider there. Some towels hanging on a drying rack down here. Courtesy of Sack as well. He uploaded these models to the workshop some time ago. This water can here. And then I'm noticing there's a few roots kind of sticking out here on the bottom. Look at this from Winifred's perspective. See here, these roots growing through the wall. I gotta fix that. Man, Sack, last night I was doing a walkthrough in first person. I realized the roof above this circular space was like thatch instead of matching roof, so I had to fix that. And then, yeah, I was going through just making sure nothing was clipping weird. Because I did that little circular space, it was like, I guess, a witch's hut in that one circular room. So I just, to fix it, it's actually not that hard. So if you go to the edit room tool, right, and select the room you want to edit, you could see the part of the house is farmstead. So I selected this part, which we made the circular little hatch above. And at the time it was set as like witch's hut or something. So I just unchecked everything, right, in AI settings, and then changed it to farmstead and hit refresh. It deleted nothing, changed no walls, changed no floors, just changed the roof to match that room type. You had floating plants in your map? Oh no, I didn't even notice. So no worries. You get a pass, I guess. Pulling some of these bad boys back just to see if we can get less clipping of those vines. I'm a bit of a perfectionist. Oh, just a little bit there. But otherwise, the rest are good. I'm not any clipping over here. So Dungeon Alchemist was originally conceived and like designed as a map making and immersion tool, right? So you can build beautiful maps, explore them in first person to take screenshots and video, or fly through them with like a drone camera to get amazing alternate angles. You can export the maps for a variety of different mediums, whether it's print, you know, whether you want to print it on your local printer or take it to a print shop or a professional, you know, neoprene map maker like our partner Kraken War Games. Alternatively, the maps can work with a variety of virtual tabletops and digital play styles like TV tabletops and projector tabletops. So essentially, you use the images, video, and maps in tandem with the playstyle you choose. Dungeon Alchemist isn't really intended to facilitate play within its systems, right? That said, after we've delivered on all our Kickstarter promises and have left early access, which we have like 4.5 major updates remaining, then the devs have committed to going above and beyond that and offering a paired tool that would pair with Dungeon Alchemist really well, be like a Dungeon Alchemist virtual tabletop designed for online and in-person play, you know, with limited gameplay support, kind of like a VTT Lite. Run Amok, I haven't heard of anything like that at all in the development, so I would doubt it at this point. Really, the focus on Fun with Objects Part 2 is to continue delivering on the added portions of the Fun with Objects goal that we initially planned, i.e. things like grouping objects and moving them, creating variants of objects so you can, you know, decorate a grouping of objects and share that on the workshop with other people, potentially rotating objects on any axis, mirroring objects is something they're also looking into. Keep in mind, all of these things are potential for this update, not necessarily for sure. So I'm going to look over this map for the next few minutes, make sure we've covered everything and it's good to go, and then I'll upload it to the workshop for everyone to enjoy. One thing I just want to check is abstract lighting. I know that Sack went through and added a bunch of lighting over here, which it looks brilliant, looks really good, don't really need much there. Tree here looks good, and so does the sacred space. I didn't add any abstract lighting by the well or over here, but I think I will add one just kind of in this general area to brighten it up a bit. And then I think I'll add a lantern on top of the well, because that just seems like a place for a lantern, right? And then we could put this light kind of cast in between the two to give it some extra light. Remember, abstract lights, they're invisible lights. So you can add them to your environment and the light remains, but the light housing disappears upon export. Honestly, it is a very impressive tool for those types of things, Jim. I mean, for people who, you know, are used to games like Sims, it's Sims without the aspect of keeping Sims alive and entertained. You just build out environments for theoretical situations. You know what I mean? Without having the stress of keeping a Sim alive or managing its relationships and its work. You know what I mean? So I think it's Sims without the stress. Once you add D&D, that's when it gets stressful, or Pathfinder. you know, that I'm not even sure which update they would approach that run amok, but I do think, like Atlam said, instant dungeons make sense, having like prefab shapes to pick from, so you don't have to mess with it, you know? I think I fixed that little root piece. Double check here. Gotta look from the eyes of a token. The eye of the token. It's the thrill of the map. Looking into all of the corners. Found a root in this corner. It's the enemy of Mac. Forgive me. Okay, so lastly, I want to organize the sisters in kind of a pleasing manner around the cauldron. And I think overall, though, like, I added abstract lighting in depth to the cabin, upstairs and down, to really make it feel warm and like the lighting is actually doing something. Put a little green light in the cauldron, which casts the green to them, making them seem like they're, you know, sitting around the bubbling brew. Hey, Primal Edge Designs, how you doing, bud? Hey, Joshua Thompson, thank you for the follow. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. This little area I'm really proud of. The little workshop apothecarium over here. Kind of cobbled it together. A few shelves and desks, and stashed a bunch of things on here I thought would be appropriate. We've got eyeballs and teeth and various vials filled with goods, tools and mortar and pestle, various dyes and whatever. Dyson, I'm forever in admiration of your commitment to your games and the amount of time you put into session prep, because you probably have a lot of it, given the fact that you're running, what, 3-4 games right now? How are you doing today, my friend? Welcome back to the stream. Down to running 4 and playing in 2? Oh my goodness. See, I rounded down and was still, I rounded up, I thought, and was still under what you are doing, so not bad. Impressive. Y'all be jealous of Dyson's social skills and the ability to manage so many time slots and schedules. I think this is pretty much done. It's looking beautiful. Everything feels well lived in, kind of organized. Zach, I mean, if you're ready for it to be put up, I think it's time. I want to just make sure everything... Oh, you know what? I forgot to double check the cellar. Let's put an abstract in here. What are you thinking? Really have been helpful, Dyson. We've been adding all these heavily requested features that people have been really wanting. I'll be honest with you. I mean, so many people wanted multi-level and roofing. So when we added, you know, the ability to do that, I think it really brought Dungeon Alchemist to the forefront of a lot of creators' minds. Now that they can, you know, instead of having just this one level, they have all of this and even underground. It really makes it a different tool altogether. Polaris, welcome back. You know, we do need more like everyday stuff. More household items, a butter churn, some hanging herbs, you know, some more, you know, just everyday items around like a cottage or other homes. That is a good question, Blue Mage. So Blue Mage on Twitch asks, how did you achieve the purple smoke from the chimney? That was a suggestion by Sack, actually. I wasn't even sure how to achieve this. I knew how to do this with a geyser. So there's a geyser hiding in this chimney here with some smoke, right? So geysers make smoke. So I'll hide them in chimneys or anywhere I want a little bit of extra smoke, typically. But here we have a genie lamp. The genie lamp or oil lamp exudes a purple smoke. So we kind of scaled it up and snuck it inside the chimney. Wonderful addition to the map. Oh, really? Okay, that's how y'all were doing it. Okay, let's look at this. Because Highland Lass was asking about that the other day. Is it this one? Neat. Hoping I can grab that, but I cannot. Smart. Crazy, or does this just not look lined up when it's over this? Want a trail? Cool, cool. So now we've got everything finished up on the chimneys. The water wheel is looking pretty solid. No vines are creeping through. We've got references to the movie all over. We've got Binks the cat, the tree they get hung from, or movies, I should say. The sacred space, the graveyard, their cottage, which is accurate as it can be within the tools that Dungeon Alchemist offers currently, and the limited reference material available. I think we've actually knocked it out of the park. However, I'm noticing we've got some lamp items that are floating a little bit low. Trying to make them invisible on the upper level. Are you kidding me? Yep, there we go. If things are wall items, particularly, not every wall item has been perfectly adjusted to multi-level. So items that rest on a floor have a 0 on the floor. Items that rest on the wall, their default height is wall 0 and floor 0 are like different. And sometimes Dungeon Alchemist mixes up wall 0 and floor 0, or even recognizes them as the same thing. And as a result of which, some wall-based objects, if they're too low on the wall, will be visible on the floor below in the export. You got to be very careful when you're looking at the maps. If you start adding objects at varied heights, like me, I wanted the cages to be visible on both floors. I wanted the chandelier and the chain. Certain items, yes. Oh, by the way, Sack, I moved this table because it was under this like crossbeam, so it was completely lost detail-wise. So I pulled it in closer. So it'd be more beneficial from a top-down perspective. Honestly, I went through everything from like a top-down export perspective. Uh-oh. The TikTok stream just crashed. There it is, it's back. Because I wanted that to look good. Alrighty. Double checking. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Let me do a quick tour with the tokens. I'm going to shrink them all down so they're like a good size to walk through the whole building. Because you want to be able to traverse the building, right? By the ladder. Perfect. Yes. I'm gonna actually start on the outside, but the stairs are traversable. Uh-oh. Oh, that little hatch gets away. Let's jump over it. So currently, old 7H Dungeon Alchemist does not export in 3D. You build in 3D, and then you get to export in a top-down, or you can capture video of these various angles that you put time into making them, visible. Also, it exports in layers, like slices of your map. So if you have a multi-level map like this, each level of the map is kind of like its own slice or its own layer of a cake. So you got, the basement, first floor, second floor, roof, etc. And those export as separate maps, each one of them. So currently, Dungeon Alchemist it's really not intended for 3D export or 3D VTTs, nor do we really have any plans to do that. We're kind of aiming for traditional top-down play mixed with immersive 3D environments for like handouts, for, maybe flyovers, walkthroughs. You can even stream this view to your players and kind of, show them what they see through their eyes. Kind of like how we're doing the tour of this map now in first person. It makes it so much more impactful than a top down, of course. And I understand that when it comes to, wanting to get that kind of video game-esque play with 3D gameplay in a TTRPG. Unfortunately, I just I don't think that's a direction we're probably going to ever head, at least until we have our own virtual tabletop. I'm actually happy that the moon was over here. I was a little bummed the moon wasn't on this side for shots, but it looks okay. Yeah, and I agree with you, old 7H. I think here's the thing. For the majority of all tabletop gaming history, it's been top-down, right? And that is a big portion of what it is. I'd say 98% of all games ran are either top-down maps or theater of the mind, right? There is a new niche with 3D gameplay starting to happen, either in like some modules or extensions for certain virtual tabletops, or there are standalone virtual tabletops that offer 3D gameplay. Tailspire, Tabletop Simulator. I think a lot of those tools, though, they also have their caveats. For instance, I've never used Tailspire, and I don't mean to speculate, but based on what I've been told, a lot of people in our community and people who approach me often ask if our maps will work with Tailspire because they prefer to use our tool because it's easier to use. So I think, there may be a reason there isn't like an all-in-one tool yet that's super effective or lightweight and operates on the average computer, mainly because it's hard to do. The technology is in its infancy for people to be able to design a full 3D interactable game environment from their home and then play in it, right? We're getting to the point where home developers, indie developers are all more common, but for the average, end user to be able to do something like that, it's still not quite there. And then you still have to take into account the gameplay for your players. Running a 3D virtual tabletop, you all need to have like gaming level or streaming level computers to be able to actually, maybe support gameplay of that style. On top of that, really good internet connections. And so at the end of the day, I think as the internet and computers become more powerful as a standard, those things will become more common. And I think we're kind of getting into we're kind of like dipping our toes into the pond of 3D virtual tabletops as it is now. And I think in the next 5 to 10 years, we'll see a ton of them. On that same breath, though, there's companies like D&D, Wizards of the Coast, allegedly throwing their weight behind projects like Sigil and then giving up on them within a year. So Sigil, for instance, just closed its doors yesterday, or announced like 2 days ago that they're no longer developing or supporting the product, their 3D virtual tabletop. So while I think it's an amazing idea and like it would be so cool, especially for the modern generation of gamers who are raised on video games like Fortnite and other things, to be able to play in a 3D space, it will definitely draw in that crowd. There needs to be, more infrastructure in place too. That, or it needs to be much more optimized. You know what I mean? So yeah, and I didn't know that for sure, but yeah, Tailspire doesn't have an import feature for assets, if you say that, Run Amok, which means you would be 100% dependent on their assets. So no Steam Workshop support for assets, no importing your own assets, and also, because it's a virtual tabletop and Mapmaker, I think there are some drawbacks. You get feature creep in some areas where we excel in map making, and I think we're going to build out the best possible map maker we can before we start focusing on a virtual tabletop that complements it. Does that make sense? I think Dungeon Alchemist, ultimately that's the goal, is to have our own virtual tabletop, kind of light virtual tabletop that pairs really well with Dungeon Alchemist or even other maps. Obviously pairs perfectly with Dungeon Alchemist, but would probably still support other tools. I think at the end of the day, that is the goal. But it'll be a while before we get there because we have our commitments to our, Kickstarter community who supported us years back when we were just a fledgling little company and gave us a shot and supported us, and now we were able to take our dream to the next level and been continuing supporting and developing Dungeon Alchemist for many years now. It's crazy to me how those companies, like, clearly they see how investments can come out of big worthwhile investments can come out of the left field somewhere they didn't anticipate. And obviously those things took time to nurture and build, but then they just want instant gratification. That drives me crazy with the modern corporation. C-suite executives have no patience at all. If it isn't immediately a success, then it's a failure. And that's a weirdly obtuse way to think of things. Because success isn't built in a day. It takes time. Uh-oh. Where'd I leave Winifred? Winifred, where are you? I know what to do. I'll control Z her back. Hmm. There she is. It was just all the doors and stuff. I don't know where I left her, though. You sent a report through this here? Cool. Awesome. Because that sends a copy of the map to us. One thing I can recommend if your roof is bugging out, like if it's glitched and is missing tiles or whatever, just try a different roof type. Throw a different one on. Often that'll fix it. Unstick it, so to speak. Change it for a different style of like shingle. Like clearly we were taught when we were growing up, like you got to practice and like put in effort to get results, right? But somewhere along the lines, people in college and C-suites were like, if we don't get results today, within the next week or 6 months, then this is a complete failure. We're not going to advertise this or barely let anyone know. We're going to cut your team down to nothing. And guess what? If it doesn't succeed in the first 6 months, it's over. That also helps, Tropism. Thank you for that suggestion. Really, all Hasbro wants to focus on is Magic the Gathering. They've given up on toys. They've given up on D&D, and they're trying their best. That's my personal opinion, of course, to just make everyone not happy with it so they move on. Hey, see you later, Polaris. Hi, Hira, how you doing? Where's my token? There we go. Okay. So we got a little distracted talking about 3D virtual tabletops, but really quickly, just want to take a quick look while I can narrate. Got the lovely graveyard. I'm going to do a quick tour, and then we're going to upload this map, finally. And I know I spent 45 minutes saying that, but, you know, that's what an entertainer does. They eat up time. Is this an abstract back here? Zach? Or is this just a glitch? Okay. I might raise it up a little bit, because at a certain angle... Oh, I see what... Weird. It's just graphically cut off there. Interesting. It's fine. Belladonna, how you doing today, my friend? Welcome back. How was your weekend? In fact, let's talk about how everyone's weekend was. Did you do anything interesting? Did you play some Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder? Did you have any session prep? Did you run a session? This looks really good, Zach, the noose. You did a good job. The lighting really sells the sacred space too. I might add one like purple light into this because I felt like it was kind of contrasted green and purple. So we just put like one of these. Amp it up a little bit. There. Oop. And then we'll probably add here. Ah, I like it. Send it. Session prep for Dragon Heist. Oh, your players are lucky. So you took a weekend off from map making, Rev? Hey, it's good to recharge the batteries, my friend. Damn good. maximize profits this quarter, whereas if they just, thought about the long term over, say, 50 quarters, they'd probably maximize their profits long term if they just cared about their customers and listened to them and put out the things they're interested in. That's one thing about the Sanderson sisters. Their cottage definitely feels cozy, aside from, the glaringly obvious reasons it shouldn't be, like cages. But they definitely had a comfy little home. And they were trying to live their best life, sort of, abducting children. They probably wouldn't have been bothered. By the way, everyone, speaking of Cottage, the current Dam Challenge theme is Cottage. So you have, if you want to enter our Dam Challenge, which is our bi-weekly map making contest, we host it every 2 weeks like clockworks. You have between now and the 7th of November to submit your entry. End of day on the 7th in your time zone, so 11:59 p.m. So as long as you submit it before midnight in your time zone, you're eligible. There are some rules you have to follow, of course. They're pinned in our Dam Challenge channel where you submit your entry. 4 rules and some server rules to adhere to. But as long as you submit your entry in time and adhere to the rules, you have a chance to win the Dam Challenge, which has a prize of a $10 Hero Forge gift card. Your map is the first map featured during the Dam Challenge stream. Roughly a half hour of airtime with all eyes glued on your work. And lastly, your map is featured in our weekly newsletter, the Cartomancer Chronicles. So you get a little bit of immortality in our Mapmaker community and also get to flex your Mapmaker muscle on the community by showing what you can do. And remember, it's not so much a contest against each other, a challenge against each other, challenged against yourself to see what you can do as a Mapmaker, or maybe try something new and different that you wouldn't do in maps you would normally make. Cottages are very useful in the average gameplay session, so I imagine many of you could find use of a cottage, the map that you would make for the Dam Challenge in your own campaign, so it's a, 2 birds with 1 stone kind of thing. Belladonna, regardless, once you finish that castle, I would love to see it up on the workshop, because the more the merrier. But yeah, Cottage definitely seems more manageable. I'm assuming you're talking about vulture capitalism, or venture capitalism as they call it. Yeah, I think we're good. I'm pretty sold on this. After a couple tours through everything looks good. There's no weird clipping. The lighting looks balanced. Why do you think a lot of the brands and things you loved growing up have been completely ruined? Look at things like your favorite little snack cakes, Hostess and Little Debbie. The flavors and formulas of your favorite foods. Look at restaurants that you may have gone to as a kid. They're now pretty much just serving microwavable food. And then they say it's just business. Man, I saw a picture yesterday of a McDonald's burger where the cheese was thicker than the burger. All right, I'm happy with this. I'm gonna get rid of this little alchemist here. And then we are going to save. Oh, thank you. Gonna save, and then we are going to get us a good shot for the workshop. Should it be an exterior shot like this, or should it be inside with the witches for the workshop? You know what? Yeah, with the witches makes sense. What I'll probably have to do, though, is upload the map later, because the camera for the, I'll have to upload the images later to the Steam Workshop listing, because I have some pictures that'll be better. Because the camera in the, map publisher isn't like the drone camera. You can't move up and down. You can't do anything with it. It should be the drone camera. So I think what I'll do for just... I got an idea. I'm just trying to think if we should use a lot of our original copy and just add updates to it. That being said, I want to keep... Yep, happy little map. Yep, happy little mapsident here that you arrived right on time for us to see us publish it. What I really wanted to do... Oops. A shot with Winifred's face out the window, where she doesn't look like a Titan. What a glorious morning! It makes me sick! Technically, that's this window in the movie. Okay, what I might do is I'll open... that one. No. Yeah, I like the other one. Yeah, I can't like get a good shot of the cottage with her in the window though. Now this could work. Could work. Rotate Sarah a little bit. Right? I feel like I should put her in this window. The more I'm seeing it, then I could change the angle because this one opens up. Hold up. Let me change that. Can I rotate it? Oh. On the opposite. Gonna have her sitting in the laundry here. This is a set piece. He's front and center, bruh. Much of a perfectionist for this part. I'd much rather just take my own pictures. So one of my tricks when I take pictures of a map, okay? So first off, use like traditional photo methods. There's the rule of thirds, which you try to balance your image where a third of the subject is one side, a third is in the center, and the third is on the other side. So you try to balance it across top to bottom with like where everything's kind of weighted in a way it feels right. Then the other thing I try to do, you see this background here where it's gray? I actually don't like capturing that in my imagery, so I'll do everything I can to avoid it by like getting an angle that it doesn't have it, okay? But at the same time, I need to get Winifred's face in here and the camera won't get any lower. So I may end up just taking my own shot with the other camera and then using that as the upload image. I can't get close to them, I'm not really happy with where it's going, and I can't get a good third shot. Guess I could do it like this. What I'm gonna do is add some more trees back here to kind of cover this. This is the kind of stuff I go through when I'm trying to get really good shots, though. Just keep that in mind. The size of a map is important. If I make them huge, though, they'll look giant compared to the house. You know what I mean? That's the problem. What I'd really like to do is just use the cinematic camera and come in here like, probably like this. Because this is a really good shot. I could even get the purple. Oh, a different token. But the thing is you can't take a shot like that when you're uploading the map. I'm trying to use the stock upload camera. Also, look at the shingles here. There's like a weird glitch where you can see under them. That's another thing I try to avoid. If you're high enough, you don't see it. Little things like that just bother me when I'm like taking photos. And there's not enough of Winnie's face showing no matter what I do. I think I'm gonna just bring her outside. Be easier to get a shot. I'm gonna rage at myself here really quick. Oh, this is the shot. I really hate how limited this... Oh, okay, abstract show in here too. Good to know. Yeah. You know what? I'm just going to take a generic shot for the cover, and then I'll end up importing my own shots, something like this. I think that's a pretty good shot right there. Okay. Well, hopefully I can find a shot that I'm happy with this, but I don't think I will. Maybe something like this is a good shot of thirds. Still has them out front. We have this interesting subject here, them in the center, and then weighing it out with the water wheel river house on the side. So I'll try this. Okay. The Sanderson sisters are back. And better than ever. Now featuring multi-level and roofing. I actually like that one. I actually really like that wicker, Jack. However, can now be thine. Okay, so I think we should incorporate features, right? And reference materials from the movies. Cellar. No. Black flame candle. Multi-floor cottage built to scale using set design blueprints and reference materials from the movie. Black flame candle. Cellar. Graveyard with Billy Bones interred. Right? Isn't that the correct term? What other things? What other things? Sacred space. Placed in a grave, interred. Yes, I was right. Oops. You know, it's funny. I'm looking at all these things from our description of the first, from the first map, and we were so proud of things like the book and the hanging cages. They're like just such an easy thing to do now, right? Like the water wheel, it's cool, but it's like, meh. There's some things just a few years ago that were really hard to do that are like really easy. It's not Billy Bones. I don't know why I said that. Billy Butcherson. Hmm. Hmm. Hey, first off, thank you for saying good morning, Miss Adverter or Misadventurer DM. I got it. Love this application. Been using it for almost a year. Any plans on making the grid system more manageable, height adjustable, lockable? So there are some things you can do with the grid. You can put the grid on top of everything now. There's a setting in the grid menu where it's on top of all things. And then when you move up in levels using the level widget in the right here, this actually moves the grid up. However, I would recommend highly if you play, say, actually tell me more about your game so I can understand it, and then I can give you some more pointers or guidance. Do you play in person? Do you play with printed maps, digital maps? Do you play online with a virtual tabletop? If you could tell me more about that, Misadventure DM, I would be glad to answer your question and kind of give you more guidance there. Hmm. So do you use Dungeon Alchemist as like a live map and you just like disable the UI and play your maps, or do you play loop videos or images of your map? Zach, is there any major thing that I missed? Hey, Milk and Toast, how you doing? I want to make sure I didn't miss any key points. So, multi-floor cottage with roof. Dusty just got done cleaning the shop fan. Oh no. Oh no. I bet you that was a mess. Hmm. Binks the cat. Sanderson sisters tokens. Tokens. Now with added roof. That sounds like 90s commercials. So hard actually. You both do both depending. Interesting. Do you use a virtual tabletop software at all, Misadventure? Like Foundry or Roll20 or Fantasy Grounds, anything like that? Rufio, Rufio. Oh, Admit it, Rufio had drip before drip was a thing. Mondu, are you not a man of culture? Have you not seen Hook? Or are you just trolling me right now? I'm trying to think if there's anything I missed. Key items in the description. To add a raven now, I'd have to like delete all this. So I don't know. I guess I could copy this. I'm gonna send this to Stack so I have a copy of it. No! It didn't transfer the text perfectly. I'll add a raven later. So there's a movie, it's like a Robin Hood type movie called Hook in the US in the 90s, okay? And it starred Robin Williams as a grown-up Peter Pan who had forgotten he was Peter Pan after he fled from Neverland because he lost his memories. Sorry for spoilers, people, but it's been like 30 years. So anyway, he's like basically a vulture capitalist working for a big investment firm, constantly on his phone, cutting deals, ignores his kids, ignores his wife, yells at them, pretty much hates being around them. He likes doing business. Or Peter Pan, my bad, not Robin Hood. My bad. I am sorry. My bad. Peter Pan. Peter Pan, my bad. So, Peter Pan is grown up, has a family. He was raised in Wendy's orphanage. She knows who Peter is. She remembers, but Peter has forgotten. And she wrote books about Peter Pan, and it ended up being like this big deal. And there was like a anniversary of it, and he was traveling back to England to see her and see, you know, to commemorate this event. And he was like one of her first orphan childs that she raised as an adult after she came back from Neverland. So basically, his kids are kidnapped by Hook and their gang because Hook is bored in Neverland. He's kind of like the creme of the crop, and he wants to fight Pan again. Pan was his ultimate adversary. So he kidnaps his kids, brings them to Neverland, and he starts turning them against him using, you know, propaganda and brainwashing in an attempt to make them like him and hate his father, which they already kind of dislike their father anyway because he ignores them. He doesn't show up to their sports events, doesn't care about what they're talking about, constantly on the phone. Typical 90s dad. So essentially, now Pan's back, and he's found by, you know, Tinkerbell, played by Julia Roberts, who is tasked with reminding him that he's Pan and getting him into shape to fight Hook for this ultimate world-ending battle in Neverland. The Lost Boys still exist, and more Lost Boys have joined the crew because they just kind of accumulate, and a new one is named Rufio. Rufio is essentially their new leader, and he's pretty badass. He looks cool AF, and he has this golden looking sword that has a coconut hilt. That's like the person who is the leader has this sword. Pan used to use it before he left. So everyone kind of bows to Rufio, and Rufio doesn't see this old man as Pan. Nobody does. So he has to like relearn who he is, do a bunch of training, find his inner child, learn how to fly, learn how to fight. Dustin Hoffman as Hook, yes. Who was Shmi in that movie? What is his name? So good, though. Anyway, very good live-action Peter Pan movie. Is that who is it? Dante Basco, that's it. So Guac, to make more modern settings, you're going to want to dip into the Steam Workshop and download assets from there that are more modern. If you click the Steam Workshop tab and click Browse Assets, you can search and download modern assets and use them in your builds. There are plenty of like walls and windows and doors that would work in a modern setting in stock DA, but our object set is primarily set around fantasy or like Victorian or Western. So you're really going to need to lean on the workshop. There also under this section is the asset importer, which you can import 3D models to use in your maps. So you can import STL, FBX, and GLB files to use in your maps. Misadventure, I apologize about us not having Fog of War. We don't have that because Dungeon Alchemist is a map making tool first. So as far as making a grid that works for you, I would recommend using a virtual tabletop. Our grid tools aren't that great in like our stock grid tools. There really isn't that many options. Hopefully we get better with time, but for now I would recommend using a virtual tabletop for grid tools. Is this too long? Bye-bye. Okay. Let's publish it. I'm going to add more images later to make it better. I'm just going to use a generic image to publish it, and then we'll upload some more. Oh no! Eh. Easy fix. Everyone go like this map, go download it, go check it out, get started on it. Now available. I'm gonna get rid of them out here. Did it change the thumbnail after I delete? Oh my goodness. Yeah, you know what? I'm just going to update the picture. This is frustrating. I don't want the two sets of tokens hanging out, so it'll be fine. It's just a little bit of light on the porch. Cool. Added Sack as a contributor on there, and of course, the description is all broken. Sack, do you want to send me your Patreon links? Do you want them for this, bud? I want to put them in the description here. Was making some subtle adjustments to the Steam listing because Steam is a little bit better user interface for this. Okay, here we go. Looks like it's all up. Please, everyone, go upvote it, go favorite it, because I want to get this map visible in the public eye so people can check it out and use it for their Halloween, encounters or one-shots. Zach did a lot of work on this map. I feel like I barely did anything compared to him. All I did was decorate the house. He did like the entire environment. But now this map is available for everyone to use. We made some improvements over last year's design, obviously with multi-level and roofing, but also improved upon the overall aesthetic and added objects that weren't available before, used tools that weren't available before. And lastly, we added the tokens in as usable to everyone. They're not like a restricted to, Hero Forge thing. But you can find it under the workshop. If you go to browse maps and sort by most recent, you should be able to see it in your Dungeon Alchemist stuff. Oh man, you decorated a ton upstairs. Like all these little shelves and this stuff here you did. Yeah, I mean, I went in and lit up the house, but that was it. Zach, you're too modest, man. Definitely. Anyone that, has access to their Steam app and can subscribe to the map, or anyone who is currently, at their computer, please do. Let me get a link. I'll drop it in chat too, so everyone can check it out. You snuck an Eliza in there and I didn't even know it. Cheeky. Cheeky. You can, but it's a little bit trickier through the app. So, opening the Steam app now. Sorry, I have to find it on my phone. So, if you open the Steam app, in the bottom right is a little hamburger icon. It's like 3 lines, 3 dashes. If you click that, and then click Community, there's Community there at the bottom. When you click Community, you can click Workshop. Under that tab, it says Workshop there at the bottom. The problem is when you open Workshop, it opens it for like any game you might like. So I often will instead go to Community and go to Discussions, and then I'll click the Dungeon Alchemist Discussions, right? So it shows like our forums. But there's a little tab at the top here. The Steam interface on mobile is pretty bad. But if you open this drop down, it says Discussions. Workshop again, but now I'm in the Dungeon Alchemist workshop instead of in a general workshop because I went to the Dungeon Alchemist forum first. I don't know why, but anyway, you can browse through and see events, but there's this little tab in the top right corner that's kind of highlighted there. If you click that, it has like an added panel, and from here you can search or type in things. The mobile app is not very conducive to the Steam environment, but it's possible. Oh man, water was cold. Hey Jack, how you doing, buddy? Levels are unlocked now, double-sided pickle. Houston, this is Dungeon Alchemist. It's a map making tool available on Steam. Allows you to build maps for your tabletop campaigns. And you can export them for your platform of choice, whether it's print or virtual tabletop or, you know, whatever. I'm wonderful, Jack. Since yesterday, I found myself. Just kidding. Actually, I didn't get much time to play Battlefield yesterday. Not at all, actually. Very happy we got this map up on the workshop for everyone to enjoy. Thank you so much, Sack, for collaborating with me on this map. I know you don't like to remaster maps, but I think this one was worth it. We don't, our objects can't really get a color wheel. We do have like a hue selector, and some tents you can just shift between them. I mean, is it absolutely critical that it's a certain color? Or is there a certain thing you're going for? So like these circus tents, they have what's called a hue shifter. You can pick on the opposite ends of the color scheme, or you can cycle between, you know, dozens of different color options. There will never be a color picker or a hex code integrator or a color wheel, because each object is designed individually. And so their meshes, textures, lighting, everything has to be designed in a way that it would work with all the color schemes. You mean tent walls for like rooms? Oh, yeah, no, unfortunately at this time I'm not aware of any plans to add a color picker to the cloth. Would be pretty cool. There are some standalone tent walls under objects, structural. You kind of see them there. But if you go to walls, there are tent walls in this selection. In fact, every wall has a matching freestanding object wall. These can be placed anywhere and color changed. Let's see, like these, for instance. Oh, maybe not. I thought this one could. Am I crazy? I thought those could do it. Maybe I'm wrong. Nope, the round ones do. So there are some that you can change, but what I would recommend if you need like a circus tent, just use a tent. We have numerous tents, right? And many of them can be resized, recolored, and the roof can be taken off. You can just essentially scale it up to a massive circus-sized tent, change the color to whatever you want, take off the top when you want to do stuff inside. No, I understand why you're asking. Unfortunately, it does not look like at the moment that you can change the walls. At this point in time, any of the walls in this menu, they're pretty much fixed in their colors and designs. They cannot be changed. Hopefully with time that will change, though. Alrighty, well, now that we've wrapped up on this map, I kind of want to jump back into the ancient cemetery until we wrap up the stream, which isn't much. It is weird because the doors and windows are technically considered objects while walls aren't. Oh, hi, pup. Here, buddy. Oh, it's a good boy. Let me see that. Come here. Miss your dad or something? What's wrong, buddy? What's wrong? Earlier when I put on my wig, he was not happy. Barking at me, he's like, who is this guy with hair? I've never seen anyone that looks like dad with hair. There is a Seymour on the workshop. Will you say hi? Give everyone a review. Give everyone a review. No. Just quiet when you're being held. Your consent. Is just ill. Hey, Mandu. Thank you, buddy, for being here. Oh, did this crash? Oh no, it's still okay. Good. He got the cute puppy. Okay, come on. Go get mom. Get her. Where was I on this build? I kind of forgot because it's like a month ago I looked at it. Oh yeah, I was adding graves. Tons of graves. Look at all these graves. Hey, thank you so much, Zach, for working with me on this, man. It was an absolute pleasure and a blast. I'll upload my current map in a bit so you can take a look at it, but to the drive. But otherwise, it is on the workshop. Yeah, because it uses Godot, which is like a pain in the butt. Are you talking about like this stuff here? These are all individual pieces. However, they snapped into this position, which was really advantageous. So they just snapped all the way in, all the way down, pretty much. It only gets tricky when I do bends like these, so I got to do them by hand. Sometimes I'll have parts of it overlap. See if I can find a spot where it overlaps. Really? Like here, the fence didn't meet up right, so I overlapped the fence in a way that it did. Good luck, soldier. But yeah, this took a lot of time to do. All the fencing, all the graves were put in by hand, all the pathing. This was done pretty much as a labor of love because I wanted to challenge myself to make the map as hard as possible. Not only is the map absolutely massive, yeah, basically it is like moving an image in a Word doc. 85 by 82 squares, okay? But it's done off grid. By that I mean, look at the grid. I did it at an angle to the grid. So it made the whole build really tricky. Hey Remco, thank you for sharing the live. Appreciate it. Yeah, I was gonna have some spots, like a few grave sites that weren't used or unoccupied, or it's just like a park or something over here. So this map, I work on it about a hour a week, and I've done it for about 6 months because it is such a massive map, and I've done all of it by hand. But every little bit, all the pathing, all the plants, essentially everything was done by hand instead of relying on the, you know, procedural generation. I think their tools are a little bit different, their internal tools. So they have their internal tools, which are probably a little bit even harder to use, or they have an internal tool set that's really easy to use that they've developed over years and years and years, and like the Frostbite engine, and don't want to share it externally, all of it. So they make like a tool set to access parts of it, but it's not that great. Remember, it's Battlefield first and a Mapmaker like 10th. So it probably struggles in that regard. I wonder if there's some tutorials out there, Jack, that might help you along. Okay. Thinking. I guess I'll just do a path here. Oh, no, we need a path here. Let's bring over the line, the edge, because this keeps our path mostly straight along a long period of time. Obviously, human error is a thing, but I think masons were pretty stickler about their objects being very straight, carved in a precise manner. No, dude, it is pretty on topic. It's a map making tool. That said, ours was designed with map making first, right? So I think it does excel at that. The devs wanted to make an easy to use map making tool that the average user could open up and enjoy right away without, you know, tons of training. Often we get people from video game industries, like developers and stuff, asking if they can use our tool to develop maps for their own video game. And it's just not something we developed it for. But you would think it is kind of like that, you know? I'm going to make like a just good run of path here. That way I can start doing graves all the way down. Remember, I have graves running at this angle and along this edge. And I think I'll leave like a big plot down here open with just like, well, just plant life, trees and stuff. It'll be like forest. Yeah, it's been quite a journey. So it's actually been over close to a year then. Granted, though, when you only work on it a little bit a week, it takes a lot of time. Almost a year, but I'd say it's probably only like 25 hours to 30 hours of build time. You know what I mean? Because I get constantly talking and answering questions and, you know, get distracted with my streamer brain. That being said, when it's done, it's probably going to be one of the most epic cemeteries on the workshop, for sure. Even a legacy map, it still holds its own. Dude, you definitely are going to have to spend some time playing with it. It's not something that you could just dive in and immediately start doing stuff. That being said, it is a pretty cool tool once you understand it. But I would look for some tutorials, or maybe even, you know, dive into maybe a Discord that might be offering support for it. I wish I could offer you some guidance. I didn't even look at it. Basically, all I know is what Portal was in 2042, and I haven't looked at it since then. So, it's been a while. You know what I mean? So, over here, this land is mostly slotted for mausoleums. i.e., family plots of more astute, rich families. There'll be a little fenced off areas, some of them raised areas that are a little bit higher, and some that are, you know, off to the side, but it'll be kind of terraced. This area here, I plan to do something like a little park, little sitting area, gazebo, fountains. I was going to put more graves here. We also have like kind of the royal family graves here where they're interred, and then more kind of generic graves over here. We've got the caretaker's cottage and property, which was quite a bit of work, but dang, is it beautiful. Belladonna, bingo. When I'm dead, just throw me in the trash. I don't need a fancy grave or funeral. Fungi, fungus, mushrooms definitely will add finishing touches like that. I've been adding little grave details, stuff like this, like people dropped off, you know, items of remembrance, you know, offerings, etc. But I do plan to add little things like overgrowth, spider webs, fungus, stuff like this later on. I usually do finishing touches last. The moment it's just fill the space. Haven't tree pod burials been perfected for like a long time? In some countries, they just do that as like a normal thing. Maybe I'm wrong. Or am I thinking of a different burial? Have you heard of sky burials? Pretty intriguing, but also, what the heck? You could be right. I could be completely wrong, so. I am not thrilled about figuring out all this. In fact, I might even just continue this along as fence instead of having an opening and come down here for an opening like this one. Because I don't want to do like a path here and a path here. And then your ashes are all just mixed together with someone else's. Everyone they threw in the cremator that day. So it's not like it's like your family may not even get your ashes. Is Twitch freaking out for anyone else, or is it just me? It seems like the feed is like dipping in and out a lot today. TikTok, though, is TikTok dipping? How about that? I've seen it drop a few times today. Commands aren't working for you? Huh. Working for me. Hmm. Let me restart the app. It should be working. I don't think Twitch is a command because the commands only show up on Twitch. Oh. I do not think Twitch is one of them because it's kind of redundant in this space. Hey, you're on Twitch, but here's our Twitch. Watching us on Twitch. Honestly, yeah. However, like, doesn't Ocean Life pick things like down to the bone clean? Like, you've seen those videos of where like a whale, it's like a, what do they call it? There's actually a term for it. Whale fall. That's it. Whale falls are like a big, huge deal to the like bottom of the ocean's ecosystem. Because like tons of animals rely on it for nourishment. Alrighty. Hey. Oh my goodness. It is 11. Oh no, we gotta wrap it up. That means we'll be building some graves next week, right? Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like we got to wrap it up. Though I did have fun hanging out with you and checking out the the map we uploaded earlier, which was the Hocus Pocus remastered build. Check this out. Sanderson Sisters Cottage remastered. Let me hurry and save this before we move on. We'll take a look at it one more time, showcase the map that we worked on this month for Mapmaker Monday and uploaded to the workshop today. Stand by. This thing turned out amazing. Thanks again, Sack, for collaborating with me on this. This is perfect for your Halloween one-shots, or if you're doing a little fun Halloween encounters for your players, you can have this cottage in the woods, set it up for a nice little Halloween encounter for them. Good to go. And if you are having a Halloween one-shot, it's a great space to run it. You've got 3 floors in the cottage, a cellar, kind of a cell, actually. Prison cell, and then you have the main floor with the cages, and then the top floor with the bedrooms. Well, the main floor with the apothecary, the hearth, kitchen, etc. Yep, cellar, you get it, Belladonna. Outside, the lovely tree where they hang the Sanderson sisters in the beginning of the Hocus Pocus movie. Here we have the sacred space from Hocus Pocus 2. And of course, the cemetery where Billy Butcherson is interred, who they raised from the dead to help him, or to help them find and track down the children who have the book, right? Anyway, if you're a fan of Hocus Pocus, I highly recommend you check out this map. It's available for all on the Steam Workshop, so if you're a fan of the movie and just want to check it out, or if you are looking for a fun encounter for your players for this Halloween season, it's another perfect map as well. Thank you everyone for hanging out today. Again, my name is Mac, the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. I'm going to run a quick Dungeon Alchemist themed ad, and then we're going to wrap up the stream, okay? So we'll see you next time I give a damn. Mac out. Bye. See you, Dyson. See you, Kaihira. See you, Atlam, Belladonna, Rev. Thank you, everyone. Chim, much appreciated. Y'all are awesome.
But can it handle curves?
Theotropism.
But can it handle curves?
But can it handle curves?
But can it handle curves?
Dungeon Alchemist, the AI-powered map-making
Oh no,
application
Highland Lass,
for
I'm
role-playing
sorry.
games, now comes with both round and diagonal walls. Create amazing professional maps for your players in seconds. Get it now on the Steam store.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you next time I give a damn. Mac out. Bye.